From For the Girls International. I know it's been a while, but I have a Monday morning encouragement for you. I'm a little groggy this morning. I was in New York for the weekend with For the Girls International. It was our first time that we did a conference out of state, out of our immediate area. And so on Sunday, the church that we had gone to, the conference was amazing, by the way. Beautiful women, really nice time together. And on Sunday, we got the opportunity, Rebecca Chase, our worship leader, led worship for the church that we were at. And the pastor spoke from Mark about Jesus calming the storm. And he spoke from the passage from Mark 4, when the disciples and Jesus got into the boat to go to the other side. And then the storm rose up. And Jesus calmed the storm. So that's the story he was speaking out of. But what really struck me, and what I wanted to share with you this morning, was he was saying, the passage starts out by saying, on the same day when evening came, he said to them, let us cross over to the other side. Now this pastor, and by the way, this is the pastor that married Danny and I, so he's dear to my heart. He can preach the word like nobody's business. And he was telling us that the literal translation of that, let us cross over to the other side, is let us go to regions beyond. And I loved that, because at the beginning of the year, that's what I prayed for the girls, and for the vision of encouraging women, that let us go to regions beyond. And here we were stepping out into this new territory this weekend, and this is the message being spoken, and I loved that in itself. But when I was reading this morning, that story again in my Bible, in the reference section, it was saying that Jesus' idea to cross over to the other side marked the first excursion into Gentile territory. So he was taking his vision and his mission and his message to new territory. And so the lesson here, though, is that here they get in the boat to go to this new territory, and what happens? The storm comes, the waves come, the wind starts to blow. And of course, Jesus knows that's just part of it. And he's sleeping through the whole thing. But the disciples are panicking, which is what my reaction is more like most of the time. And a lot of times when I start to take a new step in a new direction, try to follow a new vision or a new, idea, a storm comes, and then I immediately doubt. I immediately panic, and in the passage, the disciples are asking Jesus, don't you care that we're perishing? We start to doubt whether God even cares, and in the end, he says, I'll read you exactly what he says. His response to them, he didn't answer the question, and the pastor pointed out, he said, God's never going to answer a question that he's already answered. And so the question, don't you care, was really a silly question, because the whole reason that he was even on earth was pretty good evidence that he cared. But he said, why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith? So when those storms come and you start panicking, that's just an outward expression of having not enough faith. So I want to encourage you today. And after the sermon was over, I was just telling him that was a great message. I loved it. And he said, he said, I didn't get to all my notes. I had a third page of notes, and I wish I could have listened all day. But he said that, the greater glory would have been if they didn't have to wake him up. If when the storm came, they were so assured that they were safe with him in the boat that they didn't even have to wake him up. So that's where I'm going to be starting to make my prayer, that God, when these storms, when these things come that make me question, panic, and am I on the right track? Am I supposed to be really doing this? Do you even care, God? Don't you see these storms? I'm going to try and really be intentional about getting that into my spirit, that if he's in the boat with me and he's calling me to regions beyond, then I don't need to panic. I don't even need to really even wake him up. And so I want to encourage you, if he is calling you to regions beyond, if he's expanding your territory, if he's expanding your borders, and he's with you, take him in the boat. Take him in the boat with you as you go to regions beyond. And don't panic when those storms come. Just rely on the fact that he's there, and he will calm the sea. He will calm the wind, and you're going to be okay, and you're going to make it to the other side. And what I loved, one of the pastor's points and this is the last thing I'll tell you, is one of his points was that, they failed the test. The wind came, they panicked. So they kind of failed that test. And you know what? He brought him to the other side anyway. Just because you fail a test doesn't mean he's not going to bring you over to the other side. So be encouraged today. I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful week.